everyone. Welcome to Faithful Foundations. We are so excited for really our first episode of this new thing we're doing together.
Yeah, we really wanted to talk today just about the foundations that got us to going on 15 years of marriage and 16 years of being together, and really what set that up as a foundation for us in our lives. And that foundation really is based, obviously, having God at the center, but it's based on the love of God. And because the love of God is different than a natural love. And we have to have the love of God in the foundation of our marriage if our marriage is going to be successful. And I think that's the reason why you and I, to this point, have a successful marriage, but I think it's a successful marriage.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, it's not that we don't have disagreements, but I can say really we have not been to a point where we've had a blowout, full-out argument where there's yelling or screaming. We refuse
to argue.
You do, and we refuse to get to that point, for our kids, because the love is the foundation. We want our kids to understand that too, and so really it's the love of God that has been the center of our marriage, of our lives, and it's waking up, and every day you have to understand you don't just wake up and you fall out of love with someone, or it's a wake up and you choose to love, and it's you choose to love the way that God loves.
Yeah. In this book, I think it says it perfectly. It says that we're born with a lifelong thirst for love. And that love changes our motivation for living, that relationships become meaningful with it, and that no marriage is successful without it. It says that love is built on two pillars that best define it. And those pillars are patience and kindness.
Yes. Well, really, love is the rod that holds everything up.
Yeah.
In our lives. Faith worketh without love. And so you got to have love in your life, and the foundation, and the agape kind of love. It's the core, really, of a successful marriage, a godly, successful marriage. It's the foundation. It's really not optional when it comes to raising your kids in a Christian, faith-filled home where Jesus is the center of our lives, of our marriage, of our home.
Yeah, I agree with that. It says, love will inspire you to become a patient person. That when you choose to be patient, you respond in a positive way to negative situations.
Yeah, you respond in a positive way. When we first got married, some of you know the story, you may not, but when we first got married, Jess had just come into really finding the Lord as her Savior. And really, she was beginning to walk that out, and still in what we call a baby Christian in her form. And
I said I was religious. I
yes,
didn't even say I was a Christian.
That's still kind of an inside joke for us. She goes, I'm really trying to become more religious. I just kind of looked past that at the moment. Right before that happened, I was kind of over the dating scene. I was in my 20s, later in my 20s. I was like 26, I believe, when we kind of started talking and dating. And I was kind of over the fact of just dating. I wanted someone I could settle down with. And I was looking for that, and I was getting frustrated because I couldn't find that. And my oldest sister, gave me this advice that she got from my mother that told her years before, was to write down 20 things that you wanted in a spouse, and 10 of those things that were non-negotiable, and 10 that you were, okay, I can work on these, it's a give or take. But I wrote those things down, and I prayed over them. And no, I already knew Jess from growing up in the same town, but we really didn't have any kind of form of really dialogue other than going to Milky Way and getting little notes in my food that she would slip out when she gave me my food through the window. But
you're a cute older boy.
But at that time when I went up there and you were there, and you can tell that little story on that.
So he came up with another girl, and I'm like, why is he with her? But really, what I said the other day in your podcast on your Revive Live was that it gave me hope. And I was like, that's my sign, Lord. If he is up here with her and hanging around with her, like, I'm not her, so maybe he'll want to hang out with me. And so I'm like, I'm going to go up to the window and ask if I can take his order. And if he comes to my window by himself, then I know they're not serious. They're not really dating. And I have a chance. He came to the window alone.
Yep. And then later I got what was at that time on Facebook a poke.
Oh, yeah. Then I started poking you on Facebook.
So and then we
like,
started
"Hey, look
talking,
at
and
me."
that's when, I'm looking to be more religious. I just kind of, as I said, looked past that. And then fast forward to the time that we got married, I knew that.
Which was a year and a month later after
we
started dating.
Yeah, and got married, and the first year I always heard it was it was always your roughest year. But for us, I felt like it was pretty much of a breeze. But
Yeah.
as we were going through, there was things, and, we were still growing. I was still growing, and she was growing in her faith. Not only that, but also becoming married and growing in a relationship together. One of the things that really changed my life years before that was the message of the God kind of love, and love always wins, and to walk in that. And I've really, since that time, patterned my life, not only in my relationships, but also in leadership and different things in my life, in that area of walking in the God kind of love, loving others the way that I want to be treated, or that I believe they should be treated as a child of God. And so,
going back a little bit to when we were dating, I used to put you on speakerphone for my friends to hear how nice you were and how you talked to me, because no one had ever talked to me like that or had been so kind and caring. And then also, I had never even listened to Christian music. And so I think I said this the other day, that to be raw in your unfiltered self, even in the early stages of dating. I mean, you picked me up for a date and you had Christian music playing. You never hid any of your love for Christ. You weren't someone to me that you weren't every day. And so that's something that you had always been. But I also was raw and unfiltered in myself and who I was, and you loved me right where I was at that time. You saw my heart. And so I think that's so important.
And I think that's important for anybody in a relationship, especially in a marriage, is you have to see the potential in someone else. You have to see. I saw the potential that she had, not only as a person, but as a child of God, but in her future, in her life, and what that could look like and what God could do in that. And we always say, and it's kind of a thing for us, is through that, she was very selfish. I mean,
yeah,
just
if it didn't benefit me, and I mean, I grew up that way, though, also, if it didn't benefit me, then why have anything to do with it? Like,
very
if
independent.
You do something for someone else, like, why would you do something for someone else without getting anything in return? Like, that's just how
and
I grew up.
and for the way I grew up in my family, we did things for
Everything
people,
for everyone,
and we still do.
Yes.
And you've kind of transitioned into that area, but it's because the God kind of love it shaped you.
Yeah.
But we would always say, I love the hell out of you.
Literally.
The things that were in there, and my focus was, and this needs to be for the focus of any leader in a household, any man, a godly man in a faith-filled home, to lead your wife, but not only that, your family, is to, you lead them by example and words, but you walk in the God kind of love. And when you do that, you'll walk uprightly and faithfully before the Lord, treating them as they're supposed to be. And so what is the agape kind of love, the God kind of love? Well, we know that in 1 Corinthians chapter 13 and what it says and what the God kind of love represents and what that looks like.
Yeah. Would you like me to read that scripture?
Yes, go ahead.
1 Corinthians 13:4 says that love is patient and it's kind. It does not envy. It does not boast, and it is not proud.
I think the biggest thing that we need to understand with love and the God kind of love is unconditional.
Yeah.
And it's not based on moods. It's not based on, as you said, what can I get out of it?
Yeah.
What can I receive out of it? But it's unconditional. It's, I'm going to treat you the way that you should be treated, regardless of how you treat me. And that's the unconditional love.
Yeah, and I think when you go about it that way, like you see things in other people that they can't even see in themselves at that time.
Yeah,
Like you pull those things out of them by loving them unconditionally, no matter what
absolutely.
they're going through.
Yeah, you pull things out of them, the things that they don't even know.
Yeah.
Or you can say, one of the things I like to say is that there's always a better you inside of you,
Yeah.
and you help pull that better you outside, to the surface.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was causing me to pull the better me that's inside of me out to walk in love, but also you and what you had in you. And one of the things is with love, it's serving. You're serving the other.
Yeah.
It's not all about me. It's serving. It's humility. It's humble. It's patience. And so those things, and you help pull those out of one another. And also the biggest key, I believe, and one of them is walking in forgiveness. Because one thing that I am thankful for, I did not want to marry someone that was exactly like me.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to, and so with that, you have to walk in forgiveness. And that's a key in walking the God kind of love is walking in forgiveness and continual forgiveness, loving like you've never been hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's so important too for your kids because I feel like for kids, everything is so conditionalized with their friend group or what sports they're in at school or what activities they're in, that there's so many things that are based off of that they just need to know that they're loved unconditionally, right as they are.
Yeah, and that's important too, is us the unconditional love that we show towards one another, or as a husband shows a wife or a wife shows a husband, is that your actions are speaking louder to your family and to your kids than
That made me sorry. It reminded me when Brenlyn tried out for choir or something, and the song that she picked, she didn't even let us listen to it before. And then she came up and she was singing it for us, and it's talking all about love and the love like my dad loves my mom or something like that, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
at the end of
and
it.
that's important because what she sees it, and it's not only the words. Words go so far, but actions speak loud. And your kids are hanging on every words that you speak and seeing that you treat each other, but they're also watching the actions.
Yeah.
And that's one thing. We have 3 girls and a boy at the end, and so 4 children. And the biggest thing is I want to show my daughters how to be loved and the way that they should be loved. But then I want to show my son how to treat a future spouse, how to treat someone, and how to love them correctly. And so marriage, I mean, it's built on love. Marriage has to be built on love, to endure storms, to endure things that you go through, because life isn't going to be perfect. We haven't had, there are storms we've had to endure, things we've had to walk through that necessarily weren't even caused by situations that we did, things that are being said or in the ministry, or things being attacked on us, that we had to walk through storms. And the way that you get through those is love.
Yeah, and together with God at the center. I mean, really having a covenant with one another and leaning on one another in those times and just being open and, honest with how you're feeling going through those things and not try to hide and pretend during those moments.
Yeah, you have to be open. Well, that's part of love. Love is trust.
Yeah.
And having that open communication and the same purpose in what you're going for and where you're leading and where you're desiring to go as a family. And that's a lot of the conversations we've had. And, what does our future look like? What do we want for our kids?
Yeah.
What do we want our kids and our as they grow up, what kind of life do we want to help set up for them? But not only that, what kind of environment do we want to set? And it's important to us. We always talk about and look at the environment that we're setting in our home. And that comes again to really the whole title and the name of this podcast, Faithful Foundations, is because of the atmosphere that we're trying to set in our home and for our kids.
Yeah, I feel like because we're in a new season right now. Bryn just turned 13, and the last 5 years, I feel like really everything is based now, like before COVID, after COVID, and we're like, man, COVID was 5 years ago. Brenlyn just turned 13. In 5 years, she's going to be 18. She's going to be out on her own, and I think that really has pushed us into this new season of, while our kids are still at home, what more and what else can we do to make sure that these things are instilled in them? to make sure these things are instilled in them.
It's important because, you know, we are in a busy season, but making the most of the time, and that again is coming out of love. And so really when you look at it too, God's love is really the blueprint for marriage. It tells us that in scripture in Ephesians 5:25 there. Will you read that one for us?
I sure will.
Well, I'll read it. Husbands,
Okay.
love your wives just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her.
Oh, yeah, I see it now. Because then Ephesians 4:2 is where I was looking. That says, be completely humble and gentle. Be patient, bearing with one another in love.
Yeah, I mean, this is why I love you.
They're your notes. I didn't know where to find it.
Marriage reflects Christ. And, you know, the way that a man leads and the way that our marriage is, it reflects the kingdom of God. It reflects Christ. It has to be selfless, sacrificial, forgiving, committed. And so, and that's a big thing. I want to hit on committed.
Yeah.
Because that's a big thing. You have to be committed in a marriage. It's not because you hit a little bit of a storm that, okay, well, I'm going to look at other areas or whatever. No, when you make a commitment, and that's the thing with marriage too. It's not just a piece of paper that you get from the state. No, you're making a commitment. You're making a commitment before God, and to your wife and to your husband. And so commitment is very important in this, and to walk in the God kind of love.
Yeah, and I think knowing the commitment is there, it gives you such a different outlook for your marriage. You know, like to trust your spouse pulling things out of you that maybe necessarily you might not pull all the good things, but trusting them that these bad things that they're bringing up that they are seeing you doing, it's okay, and to trust them pulling those out and revealing those to you so you can be better.
Yeah, and so when you look at that too, a covenant, it's really a covenant that you're making. So I've made a covenant to you, you've made a covenant to me, and we've made a covenant under God.
Yeah.
And it's saying that no matter what, just like those vows, you think about them, when I do a marriage now, it's like, do you want the traditional vows? Do you want to do your own vows? But really when it comes
Write
to it.
your own vows.
Yes, do. I think it's more heartfelt.
Yes.
But regardless of the fact, to love someone through thick and thin, through sickness and health, through death do us part, it is very... It seems like it's just words and something we just do, but really,
it seems so cliche, but it's really not.
it's a covenant you're making, and it's a commitment you're making to one another, not just in that time but for a lifetime to come. And not only that, what you don't realize is that you're actually making that same covenant and commitment to your children, and for your children when you have children, because that's a whole different season that you enter in marriage when you have kids. But still, the main thing is God is at the center. Love is the foundation.
Yeah. So a couple of things that we wanted to do in these was really to open up conversation that maybe you don't have on a day-to-day, and for us to be able to help you with that as a couple, as parents, or just maybe as with your kid. And so we're going to end each of these podcasts with a challenge, a couple's talking point, and then a family or kid talking point that you can pull off of, and just to open the door to have some of these conversations with your spouse or with your kiddos. So today's challenge is around our words. And so we want to challenge you to demonstrate patience and say nothing negative to your spouse at all. If the temptation arises, just choose not to say anything. You can do it. We believe in you.
Bite your tongue.
Your couple's talking point would be, what's one thing that you would like to see happen in your marriage this year? Right now, we are almost to June, so we are almost 6 months through 2025. It's gone so fast. So for the next 6 months, what is one thing that you would like to see happen in your marriage? And the family or kids talking point, to ask your kiddos and write some of these things down. Kids' responses are the best. They're so raw. What are 3 words that describe our family best? Ask your kiddos that and see what they say. And then if the things that they say, maybe it's not how you would see your family or what you would think your kids would say. Well, then use those as a point of an area of focus that you need to focus in on your kiddos or your family to then make it what you want.
I would say this too. Maybe you don't have kids yet, but maybe you're married or maybe you're engaged. Talk about what you want to make your marriage look like, or what would be the best scenario, or even you're not going to have a marriage like anybody else, but someone that you can look at and pattern maybe even after in that. But maybe you don't have kids yet. That on this last one, this challenge, ask someone around you that's either close to you, a family member or a friend. What best, you looking at us, what best describes our marriage? What do you see in our marriage? And does that match up with what you want to have seen in your marriage, your goal, your what you envisioned? And then if it doesn't, what can we do to correct that, to help bring that out in us?
Yeah, to make the steps and the changes needed to get to that point.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us for Faithful Foundations, Episode 1. We look forward to being with you the next time, and we look forward for you doing these challenges and, holding true to those. And so you can build the faithful foundation in your family and in your marriage.
Got to start somewhere.